All right. So the season finally ended. We had the season finale. It was what, Sunday? The was that yesterday? Was that the 13th?
Sunday the 13th,
Yeah. So
yes.
Sunday 13th, we had the finale for the second season of Demon Slayer, and I was, very amazed. I thought it was a very good season. I had high expectations, and my opinion, everything was delivered. Everything I wanted was met. What are any first thoughts, Jason? Just about how
Yeah,
you felt about it?
no, yeah, overall, like, I knew this season was going to be really good, story-wise and animation-wise, so I had no, like, I didn't have any low expectations for this. I knew I was gonna get what I came for, which was a good story, like, telling anime, and a good animation, like, quality-wise. And for the last episode, like, as soon as I woke up, I immediately watched the last episode because I just wanted to see how they concluded all this. So overall, just really good.
So jumping right into then, we got to give props where it's still, like you said before, Ufotable did a great job this season. You already talked about how fantastic the animation was. The story itself was really good. It was, you couldn't leave the screen. You just wanted more and more and more. And then every time an episode ended, I just couldn't. Even though I know what happens next episode, I couldn't wait. I just wanted to see it animated. It was just so beautiful. The fight scenes are great. The scenery was fantastic. The character design was really good. I just I couldn't get my eyes off the screen.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, just the whole, like, anime was just so good. What I like what they did is what I like what they're doing with the anime is, like, they're giving each, like, Hashira, like, its own screen time, like, you know how they did with the Mugen Train for Rengoku. And now this with the Entertainment District, we have Tengen Uzui, and basically, like, they just made him look so cool, especially with the cleavers that he uses and the way he's fighting, like, the Upper Moon Six Demon. So it's just really cool seeing him fight. The other characters were, like, also amazing as well. Like, you had, like, you had the Tanjiro, Nezuko, Zenitsu, and Inosuke. Like, it was just overall amazing.
So then, I guess disclaimer now. I guess if you're not caught up, we will be talking about spoilers. We might slip up and say not anything significant for upcoming season, but there might be maybe like a small like name, call or position call. But we're mostly going to talk about, even though the second season did consist of the Mugen Train arc and the Entertainment District arc, I feel since the Mugen Train arc with Kyojuro Rengoku, the Flame Hashira, already happened in the film. In my opinion, I think we're just going to focus mostly on the Entertainment District arc. But at the beginning of the Entertainment District arc, it starts off with the quartet themselves. We get Tanjiro back, we get Inosuke back, we get Zenitsu back, and we get Nezuko back. And it starts off with Tanjiro going and he speaks to Kyojuro Rengoku's his father and his younger brother Shinjiro, and I forget his father's name, but that's when they have that interaction, and he's telling they already know that he's passed on for his fight with Akaza, the third Upper Moon, and he relays the message, and they're really bummed out and they're like really sad. Or the brother is really sad. Tanjiro's really bummed out. And the father, like, he's just pissed. He's like, seems like he's like a drunk now. He used to be a flame Hashira too. And they get into like a giant altercation and they're fighting. And Tanjiro is like, don't disrespect your son like that, because the father keeps saying like, basically Rengoku was like a bum and like he knew he was gonna die because he was weak and only the strong survive. And Tanjiro gets pissed and they start fighting. And Tanjiro like headbutts him and tells him to take back what he says. And then at the end, what's his Shinjiro gives Tanjiro Rengoku, or Kyojiro's Rengoku. They give him his my voice cracked. They give him his sword guard, the flame sword guard. So that's gonna be cool to see because he's gonna eventually use that on his what is it, Ninchurin blade? I think that's what they're called.
Yeah.
But yeah, how do you feel about that first portion? Just like that first portion, we're introduced to everyone again.
I like that part. So the way they introduced the first episode, I think, of the Entertainment District arc was good. Like, like you said, we're introduced back to the four characters that we know, and what made it so, like, good is also that the episode was about 45 minutes long, almost like an hour, I believe. Because they just had to basically start up the arc, and I also like that part too. Tanjiro went out of his way. Like he was injured too. He went out of his way to go visit Rengoku's family, his father, his brother, just to ask about Rengoku's. He died through that battle with Akaza, and he wanted to know more about the basically about the breathing style of the fire, the sun, because you know how the father like starts telling him like you're the one that you can do sun breathing.
Oh, that's right.
So
And
that was
they have the journals.
yeah. So he wanted to find out more about this sun breathing technique because before Rengoku died, he told Tanjiro to go visit basically the where they live and to get the basically the journal. So and then overall, they introduce um and then you know how they introduce Tengen because
The Sigma male
Tengen's going on a
himself.
mission. Tengen's going on a mission to the entertainment district because there it was a demon lurking in the just in the night in that area, and so originally he was gonna bring three girls, I believe. It was the two little girls, and then
He needed two Demon Slayer Corp female workers, I guess, members.
oh, that's right, it was two. It was two, and so and then Tanjiro and everyone else decided nah, like they decided to take them instead, and so Tengen's like, all right. But the funny part about that episode was when he ends up slapping the I think her name was like Aoi, like her butt. I think that was funny.
Nah, that was a good scene. I love like when Tanjiro comes and he's like looking at them. He's like confused. He's like, look, you look at me, confused. I look back. You confused? Like, cause he's like, what's going on? Are they like fighting him, or like are they kidnapping him, or like they're jumping him? And then he ends up like getting pissed and talking to Tengen Uzui. And then Tengen Uzui, he's basically a Sigma male. The man with three wives himself, the Sound Hashira. I think that's really cool. And actually, he's the Sound Hashira, and he's the only sound breath user. So that's also really cool. We got to introduce someone different. We're used to seeing like traditional, like you said, traditional katanas, traditional the Nichiren. I keep saying it wrong most likely, but the Nichiren blades, and he has two Nichiren cleavers that are connected by a chain. So that's really cool because he's not really a swordsman. He's more of a shinobi or ninja. So I think his character is really cool. Plus his appearance is so different from everyone else's character. He's like this like he calls himself like super flashy, but he's basically like this kind of like a boy, like a character. And he has like all this makeup on. Oh, not makeup. He has like the makeup on. His nails are painted. And he basically knows he's a pimp. So it's really cool when we see him interact with everyone. He's like, he doesn't care. He's like, whatever, I'll take these girls I want to. Or he's like, you can't do anything to me. And he calls himself like the god of festivals and partying. And then in those cases, like, this is like, yeah, and I'm the king of mountains. He's like, what are you talking about? You're so weird. I don't know, that part like killed me.
Yeah, I think he just has that like complex where like he himself thinks he's the best, but then when someone else like gloats about them being the best, then he's all like, "Oh, you're weird." He just has that sort of complex, but yeah, I mean, he's like he's basically shown as flashy, and the funny part too is his crow also ends up like he's also dressed up as well, so that was pretty cool to see. And then all the little mice henchmen that he has,
The ninja they're
great.
called, the buff mice. I think
Yeah,
it's funny. I know. I just think him as a character is really cool. Like it's definitely different. Like it shows that even though like they're all Hashiras, like even though him and Kyojuro or Rengoku are both Hashiras, they're like, I mean, it's pretty obvious, but they're so different from one each other. Like their morals, their standards, the way they portray themselves, it's so sick. And I like, don't get me wrong, I love Rengoku Kyojuro, but this season like made me really like Tengen Zui. Even though he is weaker than Rengoku, I still kind of like him as a like his character is kind of cool. It's like it's kind of more entertaining to watch. Like Rengoku was like, oh yeah, like he's cool. He's like umai, but then he like dies and gets sad. Like Tengen's like, he just kind of made me laugh most of the things. Like, he's like, yeah, I'm a ninja. I don't know, but it was pretty cool. Also, actually, interesting fact. I don't know if I said it already, but his technique, his sound breath. There's only 5 forms to it. I know we only see 3 forms, but according to like the forums and all the background for Demon Slayer, he has only 5 forms, which is weird because I think out of all the breath users, he has the least amount of forms.
yeah. Now that you think about it, that is weird. But yeah, then another thing I want to point out too, it's like it's kind of cool that like we saw him because he uses sound breathing, and it's just so different because we're so used to seeing like water breathing, thunder breathing, fire breathing, you know how they have like those elements, but sound breathing is just different compared to the other elements. I guess you could say Inosuke has like beast fang breathing. I mean, that's kind of cool too, but the way like Tengen Uzui uses the sound breathing, especially like the in his fights, it's just so cool, you know?
And it's also cool because actually, now that I think about it, his move sets kind of rely a lot, not just his swords, but his bombs itself. It's like anti-demon bombs. So that's really cool when you hear them clank against like his swords, or just hearing like, I think you hear like fireworks and explosions when he uses his breath breathings instead of like seeing like the flames, stuff like that. Also really disappointing out of nowhere. According to some people, it's I don't believe it's true. I believe it's cap, but um all those are just visual effects. It's not really there. I don't believe that. I think that's a lie. But whatever, to you believe what you want to believe. But yeah, I think I also agree with that. I think that's really cool, just seeing that from like to the traditional elements, stuff like that. Everything about this character is super different. But if you didn't have anything else to say, did you have anything else to say about him?
Vibes, I guess.
That's true. I don't remember their names, but there was the purple, red, and they were basically the Pop Up Girls. It was purple, red, and blue. Wait, no, they're not the right colors, but you know what I mean.
That's right. Let's see. So their names were Makio, Suma, and Hinatsuru. Makio was the red one, Suma was the blue one, and Hinatsuru was the purple one.
God, everyone just loves Suva. As soon as like he was introduced, like the crybaby like wimpy wife. He's like, oh my god, that's like the new. One thing about this season, there was like a new waifu like every other episode, but everyone loves Suma. And then poor, who was it? Natsuru, was that the purple one?
Purple one, yeah.
God, no one cared about Natsuru. They're like, she sucks. Even though I think Tengen likes her most personally, but no one really liked her. And then Makio was kind of like mid. You're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I think it was episode 5 when they finally saved Tengen's girlfriends because Hinatsuru was like she was injured, so she was basically left behind. And then Makio and Suma pretty much ended up getting most of the screen time. And so people just really liked those two more. Mostly Suma because like you said, she was just the crybaby, just girl like the girlfriend. And so it was just but yeah, just people, and the thing is about these three girlfriends is they caused a lot of controversy because a lot of people, you know, disagree with the whole polygamy relationship, even though I don't know, it's just an anime, and these characters are fictional, they're not real. So like I don't get why people were so mad about this, even though like traditionally back in that time era, polygamy was seen as normal. So I don't know why people were so mad about it, but it is what it is.
The Upper Moon, the Kizuki 6, it was Taki or Umi,
Ume,
and
that's right. Yeah,
and then
Ume
how
was
do you
her
say his
real
name?
name. Gyutaro.
Gyutaro. Yeah, they were honestly, even though they were like the weakest one, I didn't like Taki was cool, but Gyutaro was like, I don't know. I thought his entrance was really cool. I thought he was cool as a character. I liked his blood, his what is it, demon blood technique was really cool, and his weapons really cool. And he low-key clapped Tengen like as soon as they met each other.
Yeah. So first off, in the like around like the first half of the season for the Entertainment District arc, we were introduced to Daki, or now that the last episode came out, her real name is Ume, and so basically she was the like like the highest like ranking for I forgot what the name of the
Are they
household
like
she was
what are they like
in.
shrine maidens, or not shrine maidens, but like maidens essentially, right?
Yeah, she was the highest. So basically, she was working in that household, and so every night, as soon as it turned nighttime, she would go out and just kill kill humans and stuff because that's just how the demon works. And so eventually, that's what caused Tengen and the crew to go investigate that area because of the demon. And so once we find out like her true form, her battle with Tanjiro, it was really cool, like especially the part when like she pretty much killed someone, and then Tanjiro ends up getting like all pissed off, and he ends up doing better in his fight, like using both the water moves, and then the Hinokami Kagura. That was so cool. And then like I think what made it so cool visually as well is just how he had like blood marks on his face, and especially like blood coming through his eyes too. I think that was really cool.
I yeah, definitely. I think Daki and Gyutaro. I think they really, especially like at the beginning, Daki they really pushed Tanjiro to his limit. And like you said already, I think he was using some of his water breathing techniques, but he definitely he can more frequently use the Timo Kami Kagura, and I think that was really cool seeing like the animation where the flames are coming out of his mouth instead of like the normal breath. And essentially it's just sun breathing, which is the strongest form of breath out of all the breath styles. But him using that more frequently and like using it to fight Daki and confusing her, like her feeling more pain, her feeling burning, being able to cut through her belt or like robe sash, which
It was like a belt.
the other breath styles couldn't really do. I thought that was really cool. And just seeing the other people, like Zenitsu was basically asleep for a couple hours, and he was actually pretty cool. He basically used the first form of Thunder Breath, but he used like different like forms of it. He even used like Godspeed at one point to defeat Daki. And Inosuke, like him using his fang, his beast breathing, and moving around his organs was really cool too.
That's right.
Or
Yeah. The other thing I forgot to point out too is technically Tanjiro was about, well, technically slice her head off, but you know how like his body just gave out and then he was like coughing really hard.
yeah,
And then eventually, which I was gonna move on to, we could probably talk about Nezuko.
ooh, Nezuko, she gets her new form. She like claps Daki for a bit. She's fighting Daki in her like normal form, and then Daki begins to overwhelm her, and she gets like really like agitated, and she breaks her bamboo mouth guard, and she gets her new form, where she gets like the horn. Her body physically gets bigger. She has like these like leaf tattoos. I don't know what they are, like the leaf markings on her body, and it makes her performance basically a more enhanced performance. More physical capabilities have been raised to a higher, higher level, and she basically just kicks. She's basically like Black Widow. People are getting mad for me saying that, but she just kicks only. Oh, cap. She does her fire abilities when she helps save them, but I'll save that for more explanation once we get towards that.
Yeah, and so basically, like you said, she basically starts beating, and it wasn't even a fight at that point anymore. It was just a humiliation for her, and so um, then like Tanjiro was realized that he needed to stop Nezuko from that rage mode because she was smelling the blood of humans at one point because they were fighting they ended up like going into someone's like house, I believe, and then that's when Nezuko started like smelling the scent of blood, and see she was in that like uncontrolled rage. She wanted human blood, and so Tanjiro had to stop her, and he sung her a lullaby, which caused her to transform back into basically baby Nezuko, which I thought that part was pretty cute. And then eventually Tengen arrives and just slices Daki's head off, and then she starts throwing a tantrum. And like I just love that little argument that they both had between Tengen and Daki, when Daki's all like, I'm like upper rank 6, like I'm really strong, and then Tengen's all like, no you're not. I cut your head off.
It's basically like the donkey thing for Family Guy when she's like yes, he's like no, yeah, no, and then this is where I randomly insert Peter Griffin throwing up clip now.
Ooh, one down. I know somebody who won't be having any.
He basically comes in because Daki's about to like get it back at Tanjiro, and she's like, what do I do? Like Nezuko's in a bad state of mind. She's like going ballistic, and right before Daki attacks Tanjiro, Tengen comes in, just easy like slices her head off and breaks her ribbons. And then that's when essentially the OP version of her comes out. Her brother, what I forget his name again, Gyutaro, he comes out. Tengen starts like freaking out, tries to attack him, misses the first time because he has good reflexes, then attacks him second time, misses again, well kind of attacks him, but Gyutaro like slices his face, but he basically cuts his head off and he dodges. And that's when like their first interactions come around. Like you see Tengen, he's been cocky most of the most time you see him, but now he seems like kind of like shaken up. He's kind of scared, and like he realizes it's gonna be a tough battle.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, we get introduced to Gyutaro. Overall, like, so that's when we realized that there's actually two Upper Moon six demons.
Well, it's
Gyutaro being the
one.
strongest one.
Well, it's just the one. They just share a body. So technically, it is one,
Oh,
but it's just the two share the one body.
two share the one body, exactly. And basically, the trick to beating them is they had to cut both of their heads off at the same time. And so I Gyutaro, like, honestly, like, he's sick. Like, as much as, even though he was like the antagonist of this arc, he was sick. Just the way he battled through like Tengen's like um with using his blood sickles and stuff like that. It was just so cool to see, you know.
Honestly, he's pretty overpowered too. It's not even that. He basically, as soon as he cuts you and like his blood gets, like, even as soon as he cuts you and like there's blood mixture, you get poisoned immediately. So that's like, he just needs one scratch on you. It's over for you. Like, doesn't matter how strong you are. If he gets that one touch on you, you basically get poisoned. And being because Tengen himself, you know, he was trained as a shinobi. They were trained specifically to not be able to, or to resist poison or be poison immune. I guess demon poison is just so much stronger. Like, there's no cure to it. Or we found eventually there is, but there's no cure to it. So he eventually ends up, it affects his performance in fighting Gyutaro.
Yeah, I feel like if it was, and it was perfect that Tengen was chosen this mission, because I feel like if it was any other Hashira, they would have died, like, immediately.
Well,
through the poison.
Okay, but then also, like, Tengen is technically one of the weaker Hashiras. He's like the second weakest. And now that I think about it, actually, if Shinobu fought him, she knows how to basically her specialty is getting rid of demon poisoning. Because remember at the end, Tanjiro was like, oh, what if we call Shinobu? She should be able to like cure it. So she might actually had a decent chance against the poison. Maybe not the physicalities, but then the other demons, they're a lot stronger. I don't know the exact like difference in powers, but they're all stronger than Tengen. So who knows if they would have been hit. Like, if it was like I forget his name, but the first Hashira, I'm pretty sure he would have clapped like both of them pretty easily.
Most likely, it's just basically not being able to get hit. That's the only problem. Because if they get hit once with that, with his like weapon, they're kind of like, the poison's just in. It's kind of done for. But yeah, it all just depends, you know. Like you said, like if the first Tasha was there, or even if Rengoku was alive, and he was the one assigned that mission, he probably could have clapped them. But you know, to each their own.
I mean, yeah, it's true. Plus, we get a portion where Tengen's like even talking. He's like, "How would you do this, Rengoku?" Rengoku's like, you do it based on how you do it. He's like, "Here." What does he say? He's like, your swordsmanship or your sword style is like beautiful itself." And he's like, "You have too many wives though." He's like, "I'm gonna cancel you." But so that part's crazy. And then they are fighting. Tanjiro tries to help him, but Tanjiro's kind of getting in the way. They fight. Tanjiro, he's like, "Okay, well, it looks like Tengen can kind of handle himself," so he goes to assist Inosuke and Zenitsu against Daki, and then they start fighting, and then they cut off Daki's head, the three of them. Inosuke starts running away with it, and they're like, "Yeah, we won!" And that's when Gyutaro, I always say his name wrong. What is it, Gyutaro?
Yeah, Gyutaro.
Gyutaro, he comes and he stabs Inosuke in the heart, or so we think, and then things just go to crap from there. Everyone just gets, Tanjiro looks, Tengen's on the floor, like without his arm. Looks like he's assumed to be dead or pronounced dead, and things are just looking really bad.
So basically, like you said, yeah, Inosuke heart gets stabbed in the heart. We think he's dead. Zenitsu pushes Tanjiro out of the way because an explosion ends up happening, and then we see Tengen lying on the ground without his arm, blood all over. So we thought, like you said, we all thought he was dead, but so then Tanjiro's basically by himself at this point. And he's even injured himself, and then he tries his, like, even though he's cornered, he still doesn't want to give up. He still like tries his best, because he's trying to like go up against the Gyutaro, and obviously by himself he couldn't do much, other than the fact that he got lucky though, because the poison that remember what are those knives called? The
kunai, or the
kunai. Because earlier on, one of Tengen's wives fired the kunais at Gyutaro, and one ended up actually stabbing Gyutaro on the, what was it, on like his hip, or was it his
It's like
leg?
his shin, his like leg, his lower leg.
Yeah, and so that contained basically it was
Anti-demon
poison, right?
It's like anti-demon poison. It
Yeah.
basically affects. I think it's made with that what is it? The spider lily that affects them a lot, or the purple spider lily that affects them so much.
Yes, it was the spider. Yeah, at the
It's in like the
or
beginning when they show like I don't know. I could be wrong,
oh,
but
was
it's
that
that flower.
the purple wisteria?
Oh, that's what it's called. Yeah, it's the flower that affects them. I think it's made with like nectar of that, which is poisonous to demons, and that like it staggers them essentially. But
Yeah, and so
continue.
basically, oh yeah, and basically with that, that's when Tanjiro gets his chance to basically use the Hinokami Kagura on Gyutaro, and like he's laid on the Gyutaro's laid on the ground, and like Tanjiro's like trying so hard to cut his head off, but he couldn't. He just couldn't anymore, and so eventually, Gyutaro gets rid of the kunai, and that was his last chance. That was basically Tanjiro's last chance of winning the battle. Well, not really, because technically Daki's head was back on her body, so even if he did cut Gyutaro's head off, like they still needed to kill Daki. But anyway, and then basically, um, and so basically, Gyutaro's like approaching Tanjiro, and he tells him to basically join the demons. If he joins the demons, he can save his sister, and him and Nezuko would be fine. But if he disagreed, then he would kill him and his sister at the same time. And so, even though Tanjiro like knew that like all hope was lost, he still didn't want to like turn into a demon. He was all like, "No, I don't want to be a demon. I'd rather like be a demon slayer instead." And then that's when Gyutaro ends up like, oh, this scene was painful, man. When he like freaking breaks Tanjiro's fingers.
Oh yeah. Real quick, kind of it's basically the same thing. You know what's really been pissing me off? People have been comparing like it's like, oh hi, like Tanjiro from Demon Slayer, and it's like hello Deku from My Hero, and it's like both of them with the broken fingers. Deku breaks his fingers because he's hella weak, and Tanjiro got his fingers broken. He breaks his own finger. Stop comparing the two. It's so bad. My Hero's garbage. But yeah, no, that scene like that looked painful, and then he goes like throughout the whole scene with those like the fingers twisted. But
That's right. Like even when his fingers were twisted, like he still managed to like fight. And then basically, they're fighting again, and then we get to that part where like it looks like Gyutaro was gonna stab Tanjiro in the eye, but then that's when Tengen the Chad comes in and stops the attack. And the thing is, he had one cleaver in his mouth, and then he used the other his only arm, the other cleaver, to stop the attack. That part was sick. And then like you said earlier, every time his cleavers made a clashing sound, like it made like that, like that sound.
I love that sound, the cling. Like it doesn't sound like that. Like it's way cooler than that, but it sounds so cool. And that scene like made me go crazy. That scene, like the animation just for that episode where they're fighting is nuts. Like seeing them both fight is crazy. Seeing the flashes, like the blood slashes flying through the air, seeing the bombs and the fireworks going off in the background is crazy. All the buildings are destroyed. It was so enjoyable. I watched that episode like 4 times after. And then Tanjiro comes and he's trying to support he's supporting Tengen because he realizes he's gonna die. Like that, I was like, that part was like gave me goosebumps. He gets the part when he's fighting basically Inosuke and Zenitsu are about it. They're trying to behead is it behead Daki, and they're about doing Tanjiro. He finally gets his basically his Demon Slayer mark. He gets it's not his scar anymore, it's the actual mark of the Sun Breathers. That part made me go crazy. He's like yelling, he's like, yeah, yeah. I'm like, oh. Yeah. I was like, oh, and then they basically had both of them, but they achieved their goal. And I think it was just a fantastic fight scene. That was definitely one of the best fight scenes of like this anime season. Like it was crazy just seeing Tanjiro, like his eyes are like bloodshot red. You can't even see his pupils anymore. He's yelling, his hair turns into like flames. It's sick. I'm like, oh, Super Saiyan fired person. And he kind of looks like what's his name, Yoriichi. Basically Yoriichi, I mean, if you want to skip this part you can. like, I don't know, 10 seconds, whatever. Essentially, it's that guy that Muzan always sees, the guy with the long reddish hair that he's so afraid of, that has the same earrings as Tanjiro. That's who that is, and Tanjiro is resembling him, and that's like, yo, oh, and but it was such a crazy scene. I enjoyed it so much, just seeing that, like, Tanjiro just hit basically. He realized he needed to use that extra. He was basically like Asta. Oh, dog bark, no.
Like, what the dog doing?
What the dog doing? Just a minute. But basically, yeah, he's like, I need to push like past my limits, which is Asta, another Chad from another show in anime. But it was just so cool. I just enjoyed that so much.
Yeah, I ended up rewatching. I don't know how many times I ended up rewatching, but just that scene where it's just Tengen versus Gyutaro, but Tengen only has one arm and he's still like moving on par with him. It was just so cool. And then like they're like screaming at each other too. It was just so cool seeing all that. Like explosions going everywhere. Like that episode was just so good, man. And then like you said, basically in the end, yeah, Tanjiro ends up beheading Gyutaro, and then both Inosuke and Zenitsu end up beheading Daki at the same time. Basically, we get to that scene where like Tanjiro's like breathing hella like heavily because he used up all his energy, and he's like blacking out, and then Tengen's telling him like, you gotta move because technically like Gyutaro unleashed like a last minute move on them, and then pretty much it gets to the final episode, which.
And then Nezuko saves everyone, and she sets everyone on fire, and the wire's like, yo, don't set him on fire. And then he's on fire, but then he's not on fire. And then we skip all that part, and we go to this part. It kind of relates because I thought this was interesting to talk about. But something that seems very significant, not significant, but it seems like it's come up multiple times, is like kind of a theme in my opinion in Demon Slayer, is like sibling relationships. The fact that we have the main siblings himself, Tanjiro and Nezuko. Then we also have, in the first season, we have Rui. Rui. He's one of the lower. Was it Kizuki? He's one of the lower Kizuki. And he wants like a family. He wants like siblings. And that was something he was built on. And now we have another two siblings, and Tanjiro kind of thinks about this a lot too. But we have Daki, and we have Daki or Ume and Gyutaro, and I think like seeing the difference between the two siblings' relationships and like what they essentially the things they've gone through and the way they handle problems, I thought that's really interesting. I feel like it's gonna keep coming up. It's like, they both faced hard lives, but Tanjiro and Nezuko, even Nezuko, being a demon herself, seemed to try to help mankind, to try to eradicate all the demons. Whereas Gyutaro and Daki, they've kind of given up. They're like, we've had a hard life. We're just going to be evil. We're always going to be evil. And seeing the two counterparts with like similar situations, in my opinion, I feel like maybe Gyutaro and Daki's life was definitely a bit harder than the life that Tanjiro and Nezuko had. But I think they're both similar. It's basically the relationship of siblings, and how they interact, and how they interact, and how they handle their problems, how they continue to live their lives. So I thought that was really significant and pretty interesting, especially actually. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Wait. Unless you go ahead. Actually, if you want to say it, I'll say it.
Oh, okay. Well, I just wanted to say that, yeah, like that point that you brought up, like, it's really cool seeing just the relationship with siblings. Like, we saw with this episode, last episode, we saw the backstory of basically Daki, Ume, and Gyutaro, and basically those two had nothing. Gyutaro's mom mistreated him because he was born ugly, and since they were born into the entertainment district, where Gyutaro explains that basically beauty is basically what, depending on how beautiful you are, you go up the ranks. So like if you're like really beautiful, you're up there, and if you're not, you're basically at the like low. And they were poor too. So basically Gyutaro was the first kid to be born ugly, got mistreated even by his mom. And then when and then like you said, everything changed when Ume was born, because she was born beautiful, and so after that, basically those two relied on each other to survive, and until obviously Ume did something bad, and yeah, she ended up dying.
Oh
But
my God, she
in the end,
got set on fire.
she got set on fire, bro. She got roasted.
Roasted.
But and then yeah, I mean, and now if you compare that to, you can compare that to Tanjiro and Nezuko's current case, because
Their family was
um
slaughtered.
yeah, their family was slaughtered, and
Dead.
so basically Tanjiro and Nezuko only have each other now to basically go through this whole journey of finding the cure for Nezuko. So basically, you know, siblings need each other. And I think the scene that was pretty cool was when even though Gyutaro like wanted Ume to go the other direction because Gyutaro was going to hell, Ume's like, no, like you made a promise saying like we were gonna be together, and I thought that part was really cool.
Bro, that part
Just
hit different. I was like, oh.
yeah, it was sad because like as they're walking, like you hear Ume crying. I was like, oh no, like it's sad, but like you know, it's just cool that they showed the way they showed it. You know, like I said, those two needed each other to survive. So now Tanjiro and Nezuko need each other to survive as well. So it's just really cool seeing that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like even seeing like, I mean, Tanjiro, it's like all those memes you see, but it's basically like, oh, Tanjiro about to kill Demon talking about like their sad life and how they just wanted love or something. Tanjiro like he starts like crying, like he stops when they're trash talking each other when they're just heads. Tanjiro like stops Gyutaro. Gyutaro, and he's like you don't mean that, and Dark's like shut up, and then she's like she basically disappears, and then like Gyutaro like remembers her name and it's like really sad, and it's like, oh, Tanjiro. But I mean, that summarizes it. That's a summary. I mean, the only other thing is we see Obana, what's that he saying? Obanani Iguro, but he's the serpent Hashira, and we see him at the end. And I don't know. I actually thought his entrance, like a lot of people were like, oh, he sucks. I mean, he's kind of a douche, and so I still thought he was pretty cool. And he must be like I'm saying, he must be super strong because the first thing he says is, oh, you lost to the number 6. That's like the lowest rank there is. He basically is like, you're a bum. And then Tengen's like, damn, he's like, I'm gonna retire now with my wives, and I don't know, have 3 wives. And then Obani or Iguro is like, you can't retire. And he's like, what? Tanjiro survived? I hate it. And then the season ends, and I'm like, whoa! But yeah.
The other scene that I thought was pretty cool seeing was at the very end when like the Hashiras that they, or the master that, you know, the Hashiras that call him master, how he's all like, oh, like when he finds out that they managed to kill an upper moon, and he was all excited about it because he stated that that like never, like the last time an upper moon was killed was 100 years ago.
That's right.
So it was just cool seeing that, even though he was like all sick and stuff and like coughing and spewing blood, like he was like really excited to hear that they basically defeated an upper moon demon, and how this is the starting point of basically things turning around, where now like Muzan is going to be the one cornered, which is really cool to see. And then
we see them go to the Infinity Castle right after that. It's Akaza.
Right. That's the one thing I was a little bit disappointed about. I wanted to actually see the whole Kizuki meeting, but like I guess they just
next
teased
season
us with it. Yeah, they like teased it, so I mean, it's fine. It's fine because we are getting a season 3, because they announced we're getting a 3rd season of the anime, which is really cool because from the key visuals that they showed, it's gonna feature the Mist Pillar and the Love Pillar, which is really cool to see.
Oh, actually, we totally skipped something. There's a character that's introduced in their backstory that we don't talk about, and that's the second Kizuki, Doma, the rainbow eye swag guy. He comes up and he's essentially the person who turned Daki and Gyutaro into demons. He gives them some of his blood, and he's like, I'll let you know if my master is cool with you becoming a demon. And then, you know, they're all dying. He's like, yeah, I'm not a bad guy. But he's saying that while he's eating like human girls, like chicken wings and stuff like that. but essentially he does that, and that's cool because he's at the moment. I think in this thing, you're the one that told me his rank was number 6 in that flashback, but at the moment,
flashbang.
No, people are gonna make fun of me. They're saying I'm stupid. I can't speak. But at the moment, oh spoiler, he's just, at the moment he is the second strongest Kizuki. He's the second upper moon, so that's really cool. But other than that, I think we essentially summarized the story. More of our opinions. Like I said, I think I actually really enjoy this. This is so far. Majority of my favorite episodes of Demon Slayer have come from this season. I just thought it was super action-packed. I love the visuals. I love the story. I love all the characters, from the villains to the protagonists, antagonists. I loved it all. I thought it was such a great season. I want more. I thought it was a great conclusion.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, I saw like on Instagram posts like someone saying that apparently an episode of Demon Slayer costs like $80,000 to animate. I don't think that's the case with like these last couple episodes of the fight scenes. I feel like it costed them a little bit more. Because when I saw these fights, it felt like I was watching like a movie, like movie animation quality. Like if we were watching the Mugen Train, like the animation was just so good. It felt like I was just watching it felt like I was watching like a Demon Slayer movie. And like I said, overall the characters, like the story, the visuals, like the opening and ending too, they were good. Like everything about it was just so good. And I mean I can't wait to see more. And like I said, like this season did get a little bit of a controversy, like I said earlier, with the whole polygamy relationship. Also with Daki being like 13 years old.
Oh no, she's only 13. Oh, you're going to jail.
She's only 13, even though like in Demon Year she's like what, like 113.
No, you mean wait, sorry, I didn't cut you. You mean Zam? She's only 13.
Oh yeah, Zam, she's 13, bro. They I have to put this. I have to say this right now. But bro, Daki and Gyutaro would have won easily if they drank Prime.
Honestly, bro, sponsor this Prime. This video is sponsored by Prime.
Yeah. Logan Paul, please sponsor us. Give us Prime.
We'll talk. Give us Prime. But that's facts. I mean, if they had Prime, they'd probably already killed the human race, and it would have been super overpowered. So that is big facts. Overall, like we said 1,000 times, great season. I personally think the animation was better than Mugen Train. It was, like Jason said, it was movie quality. It was a banger season, banger after banger. It was such a good season. I'm excited for more. Drink Prime. Random meme. Since I didn't put the last video, Obama Cube.
Yo, it's T.
Yo, it's T. Say more memes. Go. Among Us Drift.
Big Chungus. And then we have Sans. Peter Griffin Sans.
Peter Griffin Sans and